What's up, guys? How are you guys doing today? We are back again with another video. This is going to be the AFC West division season predictions. Um, so let's get into it. Before we start talking about the games, I just want to talk about the Chiefs for a little bit. Before I actually get into the record and stuff, as you can already see on the screen, of course, so you can probably just skip the video. But I'm pretty high on the Chiefs, considering they went to the Super Bowl last year and then they got better. They completely changed up the offensive line and made a really good offensive line. Something that not all teams do for their team for their quarterbacks like that. The struggle for the Chiefs last year was pressure in the Super Bowl. Mahomes was pressured a whole bunch of times and the receivers were not catching the ball. They fixed the main issue, which was pressure, and now Mahomes will have like all day to throw every single game. So this team, if there's gonna be a team this year to go 16-0, it's gonna be this team or it's gonna be the Buccaneers, and it's probably gonna be Chiefs Buccaneers in the Super Bowl again this year. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be these two teams. I am super high on the Kansas City Chiefs this year, as a lot of people probably already are because they're super good, and I have been waiting to see when they'll fall off a cliff, but they have not yet, which is really impressive. Week 1 against the Browns, I'm pretty high on the Browns too. I think they're going to be good this year, but I have the Chiefs beating them. I have the Chiefs beating the Raiders, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Bills. The Bills is one of the games that I could see them losing, but I think they have it. I think they're still just a little bit ahead of the Bills in skill. Then the Chiefs beat the football team, the Titans, the Giants, the Packers, and the Chiefs go on the road to Los Angeles and lose to the Raiders, a divisional opponent. They beat them last year, so I just had it right there, just because why not? Week 11, they beat the Cowboys, and they go into the bye week. Week 12, they beat the Broncos, the Raiders, and then they go against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to be a decent football team. Not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a decent football team this year. Just enough to beat good teams. And that's why I have them beating the Kansas City Chiefs right here. And yeah. Then they'll go play the Steelers. They'll beat the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Broncos to finish up the season. They finish the season as 15-2. 4-2 divisional record, 10-2 conference, 9-0 home, 6-0 away, 7-1 winning, 8-1 losing. I guess that means the Chargers are a winning football team, so they're above 500. Um, uh, there's really the only games that I can see them losing is the Bills and the Titans game. Not that the Titans are better than like the Browns or the Ravens, but I think out of the teams to upset them, it's going to be those two teams. And I have the Raiders and the Chargers beating them. Divisional opponents. Raiders beat them last year, and I think the Chiefs will take a step up. The Chargers will take a step up this year, and that will just be one of their wins. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty close matchup, but yeah, I guess we'll see. I know I went through this pretty fast, but there really is no debating a lot of these games. Like if literally I think the lowest they can go is losing to the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Titans, and the Packers. All the other games, they're way better than the teams they're playing. Way better, like light years ahead. Then we go to the second team in the division, the Los Angeles Chargers. They go week 1 and beat the football team. Week 2 beat the Cowboys, which I think might be a close game just because the Cowboys' offense is really good. Their defense will still give up a lot of points, and Justin Herbert will go off this game. I see it happening, and they'll lose to the Chiefs. Like I said, you just saw it in like earlier when we were doing the Chiefs predictions. Chiefs are just a really good football team at home. I don't think the Chargers have it in them. Then the Chargers will go back home to play the Los Angeles Raiders, where Los Angeles will beat them. They're at home. I think they're a slightly better football team, so that's why I have them winning there. Then they will lose to the Browns. Browns are a really good football team. They're a better football team, just like how they lose to the Ravens, because the Ravens are a better football team. The Browns and the Ravens, I think, are in the same pot. They're going to be the two teams fighting for the AFC North division. Then there's a bye week. and then go off the bye week and they lose to the Patriots. This is kind of an upset. I think the Chargers are a way better are not way better, but are a better football team than the Patriots will be this season. Just especially the quarterback position. I don't think the Patriots really have their surefire quarterback, especially for this year. Mac Jones could develop, but I don't see it happening. Um, so yeah, I have the Patriots winning there as an upset. And they beat the Eagles. You already saw my predictions on the Eagles, as in last video, where I really just don't think they're anything special. Then they'll lose to the Vikings, which I think the Vikings are a good football team, and they'll lose to the Steelers, which that one is kind of an upset because I think the Chargers will be a better football team this year than the Steelers will. I think the Steelers are going to take a huge step back. And I think if you disagree that the Steelers are taking a step back, you're probably a biased Steelers fan or a biased old school football fan. There's just no way you can sit there and see how the Steelers legitimately played last year, how much worse they got towards the end of the season, how Big Ben all around played, and think they are not falling off a cliff next year. I'm sorry, no offense to you guys, but they're really not going to be as good this year. I think they're one of the team's predictions where they didn't make any huge losses and they're going to fall off a cliff. And, I mean, realistically, they could not fall off a cliff and still make the playoffs because they're one of those teams like Seattle where at the beginning of the year they like to hate on them, bring them down, and be like, oh no, this team is not making the playoff, and then they end up surprisingly making the playoffs. They're one of these teams. I could have bitten into that, and that's what I'm thinking right now. But I do think the Steelers get way more praise than Seattle does. Way more when even if they win like against like an 0-16 team, they'll get more praise than Seattle would they're beating like an undefeated team. That could just be a fan talking, but because I put those teams. And then we have the Chargers. We're going on a huge streak here, beating the Broncos and the Bengals. I can see the Bengals beating the Chargers, but the Broncos won't. Sorry for that voice crack right there. And then they'll go into Week 14, beating the Giants. Chargers are a way better football team than the Giants. Upsetting the Chiefs at home. Then they beat the Texans. Texans aren't going to be good this year. And then beating the Broncos again in Week 17. And then they end the season off losing to the Raiders to split the series with the Raiders. As they only split the series with two of their division opponents, which is the Chiefs beating them once and the Raiders beating them once. They beat the Broncos both times. They finished the year off with a 10-7 record, 4-2 divisional, 6-6 conference, 5-4 home, 5-3 away, 1-4 winning, 9-3 losing. The one win is probably against the Chiefs. Just saying. So yeah, I see them going 10-7, being second in the division for for the AFC West. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name. I think they're gonna take a step up because they got a better talented roster around Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's gonna take the next step into becoming a top 10, even top 5 elite quarterback after his rookie year. Actually played great. So I think they are going to they're going to do pretty decent this year. I don't think they're completely ready for the playoffs and they're a complete football team yet, but I could see them going 10-17. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, we have the Ravens beating the Raiders at home. The Ravens are a better football team. Raiders beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I don't know why I couldn't think of the Pittsburgh name. I think the Raiders are a little better, but they're going to be close to the same skill level. Dolphins beating the Raiders, Chargers beating the Raiders, both better football teams in my opinion. Bears beating the Raiders. That one I think is more of an upset, just like the Broncos beating the Raiders. Those two are my upsets of this of the Raiders schedule. Then we have the Eagles losing to the Raiders. Sorry. You already heard my opinions on the Eagles, so I think the Raiders will win. Then we have the Raiders beating the Giants. Again, Raiders are a better football team. Raiders upsetting the Chiefs. It's going to be one of those upsets, as we already saw we already talked about earlier in this vid. The Bengals upsetting the Raiders and beating the Raiders. The Raiders beating the Cowboys. Raiders beating the football team. Chiefs beating the Raiders. Browns beating the Raiders. Raiders beating the Broncos. all of it is really just cutting dry. That most likely will happen. Colts beating the Raiders. Colts are a better football team in my opinion. And the Raiders splitting the series with the Chargers and winning there, as they split the series with every single one of their divisional opponents. They finish off 8-9, 3-3 in the division, 4-8 versus AFC teams, 5-4 at home, 3-5 away, 3-6 versus winning, 5-3 versus losing. The Raiders, I think, they got worse from last year. They didn't really bring much improvements to the team this year, and I don't see them being the best, but I still think they're gonna be around. They're not gonna be like a terrible team, but they're not gonna be a good team. They're not a playoff team, but they're not a top 10, top 15 draft pick team. That's my opinion on them. Maybe some of you guys differ, but I don't see the Raiders being very well this year. And the last team in the division, the Denver Broncos. Like I said, this is if Aaron Rodgers does not get traded, that's when I made this. And I'm pretty sure I heard something that the Broncos are the front runners. So the Broncos win-loss tie record will be completely different with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I just think with Drew Lock, they're not going to be good at all. Or even with Teddy Bridgewater. I'm pretty sure they traded for Teddy. If I'm wrong, sorry about that. Week 1, they lose to the Giants. I think it's going to be a close game, but the Giants just have a more talented roster. Both have bad quarterbacks. Broncos will beat the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence will not be firing on all cylinders yet. He'll still be getting used to not only the Jaguars football team, but the NFL. And he will be progressing as a rookie. Week 3 versus the Jets. The Broncos will win that there. Again, Zach Wilson. He won't. I don't think he'll be ready to really take the helm, but he probably will still be in there anyway, causing a definite loss. We have the Ravens beating the Broncos. The Broncos are a better football team. Ravens are a better football team. What am I even saying? We have the Steelers beating the Broncos. Steelers are definitely a better football team. Broncos beating the Raiders, a divisional opponent, and they're at home. I don't really need to say more. The Browns are a better football team than the Broncos, so I have them winning there. The Broncos will beat the football team. I think that's kind of an upset. I think the football team are a better football team. I think the football team are better than the Broncos, but I had the Broncos winning there as an upset. Broncos will also beat the Cowboys, which that could kind of be an upset, but I think they're really in the same boat of not being very good football teams. The Eagles will beat the Broncos, which I could definitely see the Broncos winning there, but I had to pick the Eagles winning some games, and this is one of those that I could see them winning. Then they go into the bye week in Week 11, come off the bye week, and they lose 2 games to divisional opponents, the Chargers and the Chiefs. Both, I think, are better football teams, and so I don't see them winning either of those games. And they go home and play the Lions, where they beat the Lions, which I honestly wouldn't doubt if the Lions upset it right here and beat the Broncos, but I don't think that's happening. Then we have the Bengals beating the Broncos in Denver. Close game. Both aren't playoff teams, but I think the Bengals will get the win there. Then the Raiders will split the series with the Broncos, and they'll win right there at home in Oakland, of course. Los Angeles. Sorry, I forgot that they moved because they're Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry. Then the Chargers beat the Broncos, and the Chiefs beat the Broncos to end the season at 6-11, 1-5 divisional only win being against the Raiders, 3-9 conference, 4-5 home, 2-6 away, 0-7 versus winning, 6-4 versus losing. My opinion on the Broncos is kind of like my opinion on the Giants. They have a decent football team, just not with a good quarterback. So that is what's going to drag them down. Yeah, that's my predictions for the AFC West. If you guys agree, like the video, maybe even consider subscribing. If you disagree, let me know down in the comment sections what you disagree with. Maybe you can change my opinion a little bit. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.